of the Wisconsin State High School Curling Tournament here at the Wausau Curling Club. And in the girls' competition, Wausau West is taking on Poinet. In the boys, and we're covering the boys for the championship, it's going to be Wausau West against Portage, which means Wausau West could be a double champion. Now, over the years, that has happened on occasion, maybe about 3 or 4 times for boys and or girls. But Wausau West is the powerhouse here with a veteran crew of curlers. Their foursome features 3 of 4 that have curled for 3 years. Wes Wendling, Chris Kirsch, Carson Kirsch, Jacob Hammond make up the foursome for them. For Portage, it is Jed Hagee, Jack Zander, Andrew Charles, and Emmett Bennett. They have reached the final by winning the first draw round robin of 4 in a bracket, and then by winning the semifinal. West actually beat their second team in their semifinal. Portage was a winner over Partyville. So we're picking things up here in the second end with the second shot for Wausau West. The hammer belongs to Portage because in the first end they had a shot at scoring a point. It was an empty house except for in the button for West, and they missed, so West came out with 1 point. That's where we get the 1-0 scores. We are now on the second end. The crowd in the bleachers behind. Before this championship encounter, they had a little ceremony for the semifinal winners, and it's well done. It really is well done. This sport has so much support of people that are involved, the parents, the friends, the classmates of those actually curling, the volunteers at the curling club who put in the hours, and the culmination for the year and for those 3 seniors for Wausau West on the boys team is this event to win this championship. They won it 3 years ago when those boys were freshmen. And you can see we'll pick up action here with the Wausau West third shot. And that would be Jacob Hammond, their second. Wes Wendling is the skip. Emma Bank for Portage, so those are the rinks, Wendling and Bank. This time, after 2, Red has advantage of 2 in the house. And this is Jack Zander for Portage now with his first shot. See what he decides to do. All during this tournament, we've covered, this is our 6th game in the tournament. We had 3 yesterday in the preliminaries and 1 this morning to round out the 3 for the bracket round robin and in the semifinals. This time, Zander puts it in the button. So they could have used that on number 1 when they missed the opportunity to score the first point. So here's the second shot now coming up for West, for Hammond. Well, they're busy. They need the weight is what they're looking at here right now. And they get it. And a takeout. And a hold. So now, on the house, or in the house, grammatically more correct, I guess, West has 2 points. So it's the second shot coming up for Xander, who just put it in the button. Now he's see what he has for strategy. Right now they're playing, trying to get it in the house, take it out, put something else back in to build it up a little bit. More in the house is the advantage to the Hammer. They need him in the house to score, obviously, but that didn't work out as a shot. So we are getting halfway through this second end, and the third for West is Chris Kirsch. Carson and Chris. One of them has been at this since they were freshmen. This is their 4th year. A nice release. They're working hard, which means they don't feel, well, what they want, number one, is get it across the hog line. Well, they did that. And now, since they have 2 rocks in the house near the line, they set up a guard out in front, which means they are forcing Portage to be defensive in their play despite having the hammer. Kind of takes that advantage away. And there, that was a nice shot, very nice shot. I mean, West still has a rock in the bite on the 12-foot, but that's there as the score if that happens, possibly, but unlikely that it's going to be a score that far away from the pin in the button. Here's the first shot for West after that really nice shot by Xander. Well, they want to get it in the 8-foot if they can. A little further, actually. It's solid in the 4. So again, what that does is means probably Portage will want to take it out and basically replace it. Just a hit and roll or take out. Just an exchange of points. With the skippers yet to deliver. And this one, not quite as good. Although it's an empty house now except for the 2 West rocks in the back end. So with the hammer belonging to Portage, they have an opportunity here with the last rock to score a point or 2. 2 would be max. They only have 2 rocks left, none in the house right now. So this is Wes Wendling, who has had a ton of experience in different organizations at different levels, especially for an 18-year-old. His plan is to go to Mankato State for college. These seniors, you know, like West, are really good students, typically in curling. And in most sports, I think, nowadays. Because in order to be in sports in high school, you have to be organized. And that's putting it right in the button for Wendling. puts the challenge on Portage. West up 1-0, second in. Skipper's throwing. You can hear some clapping in the background. We are up in the, it's not an attic, but it's a loft, watching a monitor because of the COVID porticles that were set up by the state association. Everyone in the building wears a mask down on the floor or on the ice or in the clubhouse in the lockers. Now this shot looks a little light, not quite heavy enough. Well, maybe, you know, they're doing the sweep for a reason. Now it's going to miss. It missed entirely. So that leaves West in a precarious situation because, not West, I'm sorry, Portage, because West now can put another rock in the house and Portage can't get them both out if they separate them enough. A disappointment for Portage right there. Those are the kinds of shots you have to make if you're going to compete for a championship. And West has, you know, they're the favorite. They're the first seed. Portage is the second seed out of their semifinal. They are not seeded for their initial four-person or four-team brackets. They use a draw for that. So sometimes that draw can put 2 or 3 of your best teams in the same bracket. But they don't have enough information to back up seeding these teams like they would in a football or a basketball, because you have 2 conferences in the state, southern half and the northern half. And Partyville's coming out of the southern half, West on the northern half. Now, the best thing that West can do, because they put them together, they didn't separate them, is they could do a double takeout. But the double takeout, we could have 2 points for West if the Portage rock by Emmett Benk, their skip, rolls off. So what they've got to do is do a takeout, double takeout, and have their rock stay put. Not easy to do. Can be done. So this first end after West is up 1-0 could be tied, or it could be Portage up with 1 here on the hammer, and if they don't do what they want to do, really. Okay. That was interesting. They were missing a rock or something. I'm not sure what the deal was. We'll try to catch up on what the situation is here, because there's been a little delay for some reason. I think they had to go down the other end to pick up a rock, take the rock down and in the throwing, delivering area.
If we need to get someone out here, we can have someone watch. Yeah. You know? Like, that's a possibility.
Oh, okay. Now I get the picture. There's something wrong with that one rock. And Jim Wendling, who's the coach for West, does so much work to allow the Dennis T.G. Invitational, one of the biggest in the country, here at the Curling Center, which is one of the best in the country, and also the state tournament since they opened. year number 6 or 7 now, I don't remember for sure. But he had to come down and make sure the rock was okay in terms of dirt or scratches or something, because it's critical to have every rock be the same. 42 pounds at this level. And the ice sheet itself from hack to button, 130 feet. They're busy. It looks like it could be on target, but it only takes out one, so West gets one in end number 2. So West with a steal now on the first 2. Portage had the hammer in 1 and 2. West got a point without the hammer, and that's called a steal, whatever they get. So they're up 2-0 after 2 over Portage in this championship contest. That time, at least, that rock by Emmett Benk there, Skip, that last rock, gave them a chance. He was close. Now we're having a confab of some other sort going on.
Have someone watch the hog line? Okay. If we think they're holding it over.
Not sure what this is about either. Okay, now we got it settled down. Figured out. This is the ultimate team sport in many respects. And curlers will tell you this, and people that watch them curl will tell you this. There is not a referee down on the ice to make all these calls. There is not a coach on the ice. They have 2 timeouts per end. First one can be called by the team members, the other one by the team or the coach. And they have to make decisions on points. They have to make decisions on going across the hog line. They don't have an electronic device that, like track and field would have at the finish line to see if somebody didn't release before the hog line. They're being watched by the other team there, and you could see that. But it would be their decision, or as in happened in one of our earlier games in this tournament, this is game 6 that we're covering, one of the sweepers touched a rock and moved it, and so then they had a rock that they were sweeping disqualified and tossed off to the side, out of play. First rock for West, too heavy, from Carson Kirch, so it's Jed Hagee with his first rock for Portage. If you look at the history of curling, high school curling in Wisconsin, the boys started this tournament back in 1959. The girls started later, 1976. And Portage, Poynette, Partyville in the south were right in there from the beginning and have continued as programs throughout. Medford was in the northern division from the beginning, along with the 2 Wausau, just senior high at that time. And they have stayed with the 2 high schools now, East and West. Lodi also is what you'd call a curling town. And the West girls defeated the Lodi girls, so they're playing in the championship right now with Poynette. Well, we've got something along the line here. So early. Third stone out of 16 per end. This is Jed Hagee's second stone. And he gets it across the hog line. It's not on center, so you wouldn't necessarily call it a guard. Probably not what he wanted to do.
Yeah, pro side's up, or pro side's down.
West is going to build up the house, force Portage to react, to counter. Even though they have the hammer, Portage is already in this end faced with some difficulty. As long as that middle is open, they've always got that opportunity to put in the button. Here they clear out. So now we've got 3 in line for West. Yellow, nothing in play at this time, other than that one yellow off to the side. And this is the first shot for Jack Zander, their second. He's trying to get something in. Okay. West still has 1 point on the house. They have the red there is closer to the pin. That's all. It's like darts. That's what counts. Closest to the pin, closest to the middle. Portage watching now as West takes another shot, and they have a nice takeout. And the rock stays in the 8-foot. So right now it's 2-0 in terms of potential points for West. First shot for Portage in, and a double take. And now Portage with 1 point. So that was a well thought out strategy, and it worked for Portage. They needed that one desperately right now, because with that hammer now they've got some possibilities for 2 or 3 points. So West will try to counter with Chris Kirsch. As we're halfway through this one event in the third round, third end. Chris Kirsch trying to take out, and does. So now just a replacement. That's the game we're doing right now for both teams is, take out, replace. And they can look like they're going to continue that strategy for Portage. Nice release. And I think they're going to be successful. Yeah. Interestingly enough, their rock rolls left instead of right, so it's not guarded completely, but it's a little more difficult to get at. But West that's what they're going to try. Second shot for Chris Kirsch. And he needs a curl in, but he's still going to be successful. What it does with the curl out means his rock is going to also go off the house instead of stopping somewhere in the 8-foot, possibly. So, right now we're looking at a blank, which happens. Nobody scores. Sometimes they do it on purpose so they can keep the hammer. I'm sure that's not the case for Portage right now. We're early in the contest. You don't have to worry about that kind of strategy yet. Right now, for West, you get a rock in there that they have to work with. And West does just that. Got it in the 8-foot. So Wes Wendling he's the skip for West. He will come down and see what he can do. As I said, West has had a lot of experience for an 18-year-old in curling. Different experiences than most young curlers would have. He has the muscle memory and the feel. You can tell it. Curling is practice, practice, practice. Because you need that kind of thing. You need to feel like, shots, feel different shots. You need to have muscle memory so you know how much you're going to push, put weight on. So there's a nice replacement for West. They have the lone point, but they also have a couple of their own rocks out in front for guards, which makes the shot that much more difficult for Emmett Bank, the skip for Portage. We did have one other West boys game in this tournament on Wausau Area Access Media. And we had two West girls. The first against Lodi. No, that was, no, not Lodi. But we had two. We had one in the prelims and we had one in the semifinals. And they're next door on a different sheet, competing for the championship right now. Well, this looks like a pretty good shot if it doesn't go all the way through. Well, Wendling wants it to go all the way through, and it holds for a point for Portage. So that was overall a good shot. West with the last rock coming up now. They'll try to line it up so they get it inside, probably behind their own rock, and use their own rock as a guard. Because there's a lot of room in the 4-foot button area for West Wendling. And what that would mean then is still Portage has a chance for two here. If West doesn't play this right. I don't know if he's going to have enough weight. think they'll get it out. Well, there, it's gonna bump and hold. So you couldn't ask for a better shot. A nice draw. He drew to the Portage. However, right now, Portage still has 1 point. And they have the hammer. So part of what he did worked. And that is to get inside for a point. But Portage has the opportunity to counter. You know, right now they're holding off a little bit. They get 1 if they get it inside where they're going. They get 2 if they can have this rock. Oh, okay. It was too much of a draw. So it's 1 point for Portage in end 3. And so after 3, it is 2-1 Warriors. And the Wausau West team has the hammer for end number 4. And this game, this championship game, has been moving right along. They are not wasting any time doing a lot of talk and conversation about it's not a waste of time. I'm sorry, I shouldn't use those words, but using time for strategy. But part of that is just the way the game is being played so far. It's not building up a lot of rocks in a line, you know, inside the house. It's counteracting, more takeouts, not as many draws. There's the first rock for Portage, Judd Hagee. It looks like they want to just set up a draw, or not a draw, I'm sorry, a guard on top. Okay, that's where it is. If that's what they wanted to do, they did it. Now West will counter. They'll put one on in the house. Carson Kirsch. One of the seniors on this foursome rink, the Wendling rink, which has been together for a while. And it looks like they're going to be a little bit heavy. And no, it's there. It's not a bite. It's on the blue, in the 12-foot. It's not all bad. Could come into play later. Second shot for Hagee. Portage. A little bit soft. He wanted to get it in the house. It's not going to make it. So it's more of a guard for West. Coming up, Jacob Hammond. His first throw for West. No, I'm sorry, this is Carson Kirsch. He's the lead. Got to remember, West has a hammer this one end. It's got a nice in curl. And this is a nice shot. If it doesn't go heavy. Well, and it does. So the West boys are struggling right now with the weight issue. How much to push on their shots on the release. You know, they've missed. That was placed. The plan was a good one. They had the curl, but they had too much speed to use the curl and slow the rock down where they wanted it to be. And here's Portage. And they're going to be going through too. So maybe it's just the ice for both teams has caused them some problems, because that wasn't even close. I mean, that was way heavy. Way heavy. First shot now for Hammond. Or throw. Now, he's got a lot of weight on that too. They are sweeping. So in their judgment, they want to hit that yellow, take that guard out. That's their goal, and they did it. So that was a situation where they knew what they wanted to do. They wanted enough weight for a takeout. Now they didn't get the roll to stay in the house, but they did get rid of one guard. Portage response. Put another guard there. Okay. Well, not all bad. West has the talent and the ability and the experience to curl one behind those guards. And that's what they're trying to do here. Or they might want a double take out. I don't know. Or take out a guard. We'll see. A lot of it will depend on how heavy you can tell or what their goal is. Just by their weight. And they want one to stay, and it's not staying. It's just a takeout. Okay. Back to Portage. I mean, these boys in this championship, they're ready to curl. And the rock gets in play, stops, they look at it, they've got the strategy. And of course, a big part of that right now, this is Andrew Charles, the third for Portage. When you don't have much action in the house, you don't have as much strategy options to operate in most cases. Now they put it in line, and you can see where Wendland, you know, he's giving two different options here for Chris Kirsch. And his first delivery. See what Chris decides to do. He uses his broom as a balance tool on his delivery. And this is going to cause some action. Again, they take out a guard. So right now, with 6 rocks left total, the point belongs to Portage. But West has the hammer. Later in a game, sometimes you'll give up a point to get the hammer. But that happens usually if you're trailing and you want to have an opportunity to score more than 1 point, 2 or 3 points. Okay, Portage sets up a. I don't know if it's a double. Makes it maybe a little more difficult for West to take out. But already, Wendling is signaling exactly what he wants to do. He's hoping that the West rock will stay in play in the house after it hits, makes contact. And that deals with angles. Where do you make the hit? One rock to the other. Where does it contact? Seems they've got enough weight to do what they want to do. And they're going to be able to touch one. Okay. So they got half of what they wanted. Number one now, they have the point. Because their red rock is closer to the pin, to the button, than the yellow for Portage. So they did make the switch by doing what they did. They went from 2 Portage to 1 West. A difference of 3 points with 1 shot. And also what it does for Portage now, they have to be very accurate. They can't, I mean, they can put a rock inside of Wausau West, no problem. But the other option is to take out the West rock and have 2 in there, but they want them to be separate, so West can't take them both out with 1 shot. Let's see what they do. Well, they got the curl, but they, again, a little too heavy. They had to have it heavy enough to get the takeout, but the roll off didn't stick. So now as we head to the last rocks for the skips, Wendland has an opportunity here to again force Portage boys to be defensive and be exact. This has been a good meet. These 2 teams so far have shown some good, number one, ability, interesting strategy sometimes. It's been an interesting game. Now, this is what I was talking about. That one in the back there now is worth a point for West. And they can come up, actually, they could come up with 3 points here. They could easily, with some good curling, come up with 3 points on Portage in this end. Just part of it is because they have that one on in the blue, just beyond being a bite, just closer than just being a bite, but it's a counter in this situation. So this is a very important move for Portage. The best they can do is hold West to 1 point here. That's the best they can do given the situation. Unless something, you know, out of the ordinary takes place, a mistake of some kind. They're going to go back and, discuss it some more. I don't know if they're talking about a double take here, going off the top red and then going down like he just pointed to right now. Obviously, that's what they're thinking about. But boy, that takes a great shot, not just a good one. I think that's what they're going to try and do. Now he's talking it over with his rink mates. See what happens. We are in end 4 of the Wisconsin State High School Curling Tournament from the Wausau Curling Club. Portage and Wausau West in the championship. It's heavy enough, but it misses the red one. So all West has to do for 2 points is put it in the house. So if they do, they'll be up 4-1 after 4. Portage has the hammer. But after 5 games that were really what I'd call lopsided and ended before the 8 ends that are regulation, we had 5 of them. 3 ended in 7 ends and 2 ended in 6 ends in this tournament. It's like the haves and have-nots of curling programs or something. But these 2 teams, they're in the championship for a reason. They earned it. Well, he's going to be able to get in the house. No problem. So it's 2 points for West. We go to end 5 with West up 4-1 in the championship. West looking for the girls team and the boys team to win the championship this year. That has happened a few times, especially with Portage over the years, but not for a while. It hasn't happened. We cannot take a look at the history of the champions here without a good study to find out who, when, and where. But I know it's happened because one of the coaches has told me that they had done it, and then mentioned another team that had done it. Well, we go to N5. We're halfway through this championship encounter. And since Portage has the hammer, West has the first rock. Carson Kirsch. With the delivery. Now with a 4-1 lead, they can afford to be a little more aggressive, and that's putting that rock where they did. on the 4-foot. Uh, you know, rather than sometimes when you're ahead, you'd set up a guard to keep the other team from scoring much or anything. That's not what they're doing. They're going into the house with rocks this end to put on more pressure, put more pressure on Portage. Keep Portage on the defensive. Portage puts one in the house, but West, no, they came up way short. You know, it's very difficult to. I mean, we've got a camera 20 feet above each of the 8. Well, more than that, double, because there's one on each end. You know, but 130 feet between the hack and the pin button. But this vantage point, you really can't tell where that rock is sometimes. You know, it's across the hog line, okay, the top hog line. But it looks much closer to the house than it really was. And what West has decided, okay, we've got one in the 4-foot. Let's protect it. Let's put a guard out in front. Make it more difficult for Portage to take it out, and knowing that Portage is going to have to probably do that to score points this end. And what Portage does now is uses that other one as a guard to get themselves in, their own guard. But West still has that point. But at least they have something in the house.
Yep, I like it.
First shot coming for Jacob Hammond. Probably not their plan, but not a total waste. What they're doing is extending their guard, making it again more difficult. But right now the action's to the left of the line. Everything in the front of the house. In the last end, we found out that you can have one in the back end just barely, and you can use it to score, because they did. They had one back there that stayed there the whole time and ended up helping them with a point. That being West. Okay. That opens things up.
Just put it back.
Take out. Right now, West has 1 point. They're 1-3, laying 1-3.
I would rather throw like down weight at it though.
Going over strategy.
Yeah, I like control.
Hammond.
Yeah.
Second toss. Wants to feel comfortable. Make sure he's comfortable. Nice delivery. Straight release. A little bit of a curl, not much. They're sweeping. More for distance. No, they still have the point.
Same lie, 1-3 for Portage. No, I'm sorry, Wausau West has 1, Portage has 2-3, so it's changed. They're all separated, not totally in line with the T line that's right behind them, but they're all in the forefront. And there's a takeaway. So now with Portage in the yellow, all 3 rocks in the house belong to them. About halfway through this 5th end, West has more of a challenge here. And they're going to try and do take the pair, deal with them. Leave the other one on the other side for now. First rock for Chris Kirsch. Looks good. Looks very good. I think looking at it now that Portage gave up their positions. And right now the point belongs to Wausau West. That was a nice shot. They did what they wanted to. Now let's see if Portage can counter with their strategy and execution here. You can see the glass, fans behind it in the bleachers. Nice shot. Take out. They would have loved to have that shot and have their stone stay in the house, but you know, they'll take the other half, and that is to clear out the west stone. So there isn't going to be a lot of scoring in this one the way it looks. Not based on what they're trying to do. They're being a little bold with their shots and strategy, and they're doing a nice job with it. Both teams, actually. They're kind of warming up. Well, that didn't work for West the way they wanted to, because they still don't have anything in the house, and Portage has a hammer and they have the point. And this is the second shot here now for Andrew Charles. You can see the fans. The players can't talk to them. I mean, they can motion if they got a parent or a friend or somebody in the front row. The bleachers there, and it's, you know, they can do some sign language kind of communication, but you don't see any coach on the ice. You don't see any ref on the ice. It's the 8 skaters. And West trying to get across the hog line, trying to get something in play. So Portage left that, I don't know, that guard is so far out there, I don't think, and it's not where they wanted it to be at all. That one was not enough weight to do what they wanted to. Right now they need rocks in the house, and they failed in that one. So we go to the skips. Wendling, Wes Wendling for West, his first throw. All he has to do is put it in the house somewhere, and Puts the pressure back on.
Yeah, because they shut the TV off.
And if he does a takeout and roll, or takeout and draw, he even gets more. He did. Nice shot. A nice shot. Did the best it could do. Take one away, leave it sit. Your own. And that sometimes is not easy to do because you have to have the right weight. You know, your draw has to be set up properly.
Two earlier. No, you got 6. No, I wanted to.
So let's see if Emmett Bank skip for Portage can counter. Probably he's going to try and do the same thing for them. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure what they wanted to do there is what happened. I'm not sure. Because now West has a rock, Portage has a hammer, but West can put two separated enough where they can't take both out. So in order to score at all, Portage would have to put one closest to the pin. And instead of having one in there and a possible 2 points, they really only have one that they're staring at. Last rock release, delivery for Wendland. Even a guard for them wouldn't be bad. Yeah. It's in. So that's a, and it could be a little bit better, but that's a good shot. That's a good shot. That forces Portage to go more for location than take out or move one of the West rocks. I mean, it's possible to hit that rock on top in the top half, but very difficult to keep yours close enough for the point, although they've got some room for that if you look at it. Another key moment in this championship game. In N5 with 3 to go, they need this point, and they get it. So they were able to do what I just talked about, and that is hit a rock, take out, hold, and 1 point for Portage in N5, and we're in a competitive situation now. West leading Portage 4-2 after 5. As I said, 3 to go. West has the hammer now for number 6. So for Portage, they have to hold them down to 1, max 2 points in 6 in order to really have a good chance to, real chance to take over and win this thing. There you can see some of the fans, all with masks on. There's a sign, can't read it from here. Wouldn't tell you what it was even I could, but You know, from one of the fans probably to their son or team member or friend. And it's a timeout. Now this timeout comes with the beginning of end 6 because it's a critical time in the game, and the coaches want to make sure that they follow their strategy ideas, concentrate on the things they're doing well, even more so on the things they're struggling with. Maybe some advice on that. But that's it. They have one more timeout. Each team, two. I haven't seen any teams use more than one in this tournament. And well, the girls, there we got a shot of the girls. Good. There, it's 4-0. Or I'm sorry, 6-0 in the 5th is what I can see there. 6-0 in the 5th for the red team, which is Wausau West. So Wausau West looking for victories in both boys and girls in this championship. They're in good shape, the girls, 6-0 in 5. Thank you, Chris, for showing that. Appreciate it. Took me a minute there to adjust to the scoring on the scoreboard in the back from what we have here on our monitor, which is much easier to understand, that's for sure, and follow. Curling with their unique scoring process. That's what people will ask me, I'm going to be doing a curling tournament and, and that sort of thing. And one of the questions I get all the time is, I don't know how to score that. I've never figured out how to score that. Well, it's nothing you can't learn, that's for sure. Okay, this is Carson Kirsch now. His team has the hammer for the second time. And he's going wide. You can see where Wendling has his broom. That's where he wants it. Hoping for it, but with a little, well, they've got a bite there in the back end. That could play a role. One did on way down on the back end earlier. Actually helped them get a point. So it's not all bad by any means. Second rock for Jed Hagee. And they're just setting things up out in front. This one looks like it'll go into the 4-foot. Not bad. Carson Kirsch now, see what they come up with. You can see what Wendling, his strategy is to work with that one in front there, and in the 4 foot. You'll be able to tell as soon as he releases, pretty much, what their strategy is. You've got a in curl. It's going to go right by it. Too heavy. Too heavy. And it was too heavy to curl the amount they wanted. Never could pick up the curl as part of the direction on the line. So now Portage with 2 rocks in, sending one down. Right now they're laying 1. This one was, it's across the hog line. Can it reach the house? Well, you know the answer, no. So it's like a guard for the one in the 4 foot. That much we can certainly give him. It has a role to play, position. Okay. West going to do something out on front with those guards. Maybe do a double hit with those guards, get them out of there. Might be their strategy here. This is Jacob Hammond, their second, his first shot. Well, they took one out. They took one of them out. My guess is they were trying to do both, but that would be more difficult. Zach Zander. Second shot. Or first shot. Sorry. This is number. Okay. That's right, second shot for him. Because now we have Jacob Hammond, the second for West, with his first. West with a hammer this end. And they're just letting it go because it's heavy. And they're hoping for some, well, it did a little bit. Still with that guard out in front. But they did move it off the line a little bit. Andrew Charles is the third for Portage. His first shot, as we're halfway through this end, and 6. That'll act as a guard. Out on top. Should be able to get in there for a bite. Ooh, I don't know. Our vantage point with that camera is very different from the vantage point when the ice rink end camera in terms of location. So I don't know if that's a bite could be worth the point or not. But it is a guard. And this is Chris Kirsch's first shot. He's intently watching. One sweeper. In curl. Double hit. Nice. Very nice. That was a really meaningful rock for Wausau West. It just turned this whole end around because they are now laying 1 and 2. And they have the hammer. You got to remember that. That's very important, very advantageous right now for them. With a 4-2 lead and having the hammer, nice place to be, position to be in. Well, Portage is protecting 2 rocks now, so they're 1 and 2. I don't know if I said West or Portage, but I meant Portage, the yellow. They're the yellow. West is red. And Portage does not have the hammer, so for West it's important for another reason. My bad, my mistake. Chris Kirsch, he's excited about something. I know what it is. He's got that. And not only does he get a takeout, but his rock stays and has a couple of guards in front of it. So a great shot for Chris Kirsch. So we now turn to the skippers with their 2 rocks. But yeah, what a switch. That one shot by Chris Kirsch has to be the highlight of this end. To turn around from having 3 sitting there for Portage to having the advantage. 1. Emmett Bank. The Bank rink, named after the skip. Well, that didn't help anything. Well, Wausau West with 1 point. Portage has 2-3, so that 1 in play off on the side might still come into play in some way. Wendling, their veteran skip, senior, 4th year on the varsity at Wausau West. He's been in this situation many, many, many times. Trying to get that yellow off as a guard. Well, right now it's 1-3 scoring for West, and Portage has the 2. So they can, what they're going to try to do here is have their Yellowstone take out the red inside for West and hope, because there's that other little one down in the back end that could come into play here, and hope that they're able to save at least 1 yellow in the house. And then West will have a chance to go last with the hammer. Okay. Well, that yellow's a bite over on that side. But I think the one on the lower part of your monitor, on the left side of the back end, is the one that has the point for them. So for West, they get 2 points if he takes or beats. This is, that would put him up 6-2 with 2 ends to go. All he has to do is take the yellow out or put the red in closer to the pin, the button. And he's going to take it out. And so there's 2 points for West. So we have 2 ends to go. Wausau West with a 6-2 lead. Portage has the hammer. West is a good high school curling team all the way through, and part of it is the depth and experience of their rink. There is no weakness. There is no, for high school curling, if you look at what those 4 boys do, they all have a role, an important role, and they all are successful. Very rarely do they not make at least a good shot. And they don't hurt themselves with bad shots or bad decisions on placement strategy. So this is N7 now. At max, we've got 2 to go in regulation. But West is in control. And what has happened through the first 6 would indicate that they should be able to maintain it. First rock for the Warriors. Into the 8-foot. Close to the line. That has its purpose too. Make it a little more difficult for Portage without taking it out to get in that button area. First shot for Jed Hagee. Not what he wanted to do, I don't think. You want to probably put it off on the side like that, but not outside of play from, up above. There we go. Just enough to make it difficult to double. Just enough to make it difficult to double. Nice job for West. Sounds like the girls' competition is over by that clap there, unless there was something else that brought the crowd to life. Too heavy all the way through. I get a sense right now that Portage is a little bit not nervous. That's not the right term to use, but they know they know they're in a situation that is reaching something they really aren't capable or haven't been able to overcome. That doesn't mean they're not going to keep trying. But West is really putting on the pressure right now. I mean, they've got 3 in the house. You know, you could blast it with a heavy and see what happens. But it's got to be, you know, have some speed, accuracy in order to do that. Looks like they may miss it entirely. Yeah, Wausau West is basically putting this away unless Portage gets back a little bit of their, not effort, but success with throwing the rock where they need it to be. West is trying to put this one to bed. That's another guard there. Well, the girls' game is still going on, so I'm not sure what the cheer was all about. And then there was a timeout, that much I can tell you, about the other final. Well, there's one. They took out 1 out of 4, so now there's 3 there for West. First shot for Chris Kirsch, the Warrior third. Now, if he can draw, that just really adds to, and not bad. It's a good shot. They're stacking them up, putting on the pressure. This is a heavy one. They're not even bothering to, well, that's okay. There you go. They took out 2. And that, you know, that's meaningful. Because if West makes probably more than 2 points here, it's over. It's time to move on with a new champion, as West is trying to take over for Poinet, which has won the last 2 championships. West was the winner 3 years ago. Marshfield snuck a win out in 2018. They're only in the history of the school program in curling. Marshfield had a boys team in this, but not a girls team this year. Now West has decided, okay, let's spread them out. We had them in a bunch. Now let's spread them out, make it more difficult for Portage to counter. Well, they got one out, so they're back to two. But with the hammer, Portage can still salvage this and earn, and that's what they have to do now, is earn an eighth end to keep playing. Now we go to the skips. West Wendling for West. Looking to have his rink win 2 of 4 championships while he was in high school as a student at West. It should be kind of a rare feat, I would think. Something to be proud of. Well, they're setting up a combo there. All 3 in the house belong to Wausau West. Portage has 2 rocks left to deliver. And it's Emmett Bank, their skip, getting set up for his first. Comes off the left hack, left side. Again, there's no time limit for high school, so if he needs to make sure he's got his foot comfortable on the hack, they can do it. Don't have to worry about a clock of any kind. Well, he keeps them alive. And you can see the obvious strategy now for West is put another one in the house away from the other 2, which would force Portage to probably try to put one on the button, actually. Or at least get in closer than 2 out of those 3. And then another option would be to have one takeout and just a hold somewhere for a place. This is West's last rock now. Well, they're going to put it in there in the house, but it's going to be. Oh no, okay. What they did, which was really interesting and good, is they put one of those 2 rocks with that roll into the button, which makes it more difficult for Portage to score. You know, they could maybe Portage should now on the last rock, they can take out one of those 3, but Portage then still gives up 2 points, and that's close to the finish, if not the finish. To continue or not to continue, that is the question right now. And because they got nothing out of that, that should about take care of it. West comes out with 3 more. They're up 9-2. 1 to go. The handshakes are there. And the Wausau West boys are the high school curling championships for 21 and 222. And Wendling
rink has won 2 of the last 4 in the state, and the girls are still at it on the ice on the final side with Wausau West, and a good lead there over Portage. So congratulations to the Warriors as they have won the latest Wisconsin State High School Boys Championship. For Chris Berge, I'm George Hirsch. Hope you enjoyed our broadcast of Wisconsin State High School curling from the Curling Club of Wausau. Hopefully we'll be able to do this again in the future or another year. And we thank you for viewing and hope you enjoyed our broadcast. Until next time, take care.